Well, Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first show for the progress report after, God, I think, Lou, it's 12, 13 years? Hard to believe. Time goes by, and it just doesn't, I don't know where it
Time flies
goes.
when you're having fun.
Well, I was thinking about that, but I don't know whether it's really fun or not. I guess it mostly is.
Or you're getting old.
But that is definitely true. And
That's the issue.
and we wanted to start off this new year with, first of all, very grateful to have again as my co-host Senator Lou D'Alessandro, the Dean of the Senate, the man who gets so much done for so many people. And again this year, he's starting off with the first Wednesday of the month. He's with me, and I'm so pleased about that. And today, when I called him up and I said, Lou, what do you think we should make the subject of our show tonight? And without any hesitation, he said, the homeless situation. And so that's what we're going to be emphasizing today, and we couldn't have a better person to talk about this than our good friend and frequent guest in the show, Alderman Pat Long, who's long served representing Ward 3. How many terms there, Pat?
6.
6, with one brief interruption where somebody else got in by
Twice.
a few votes.
Two brief
But
interruptions.
like Lou, he can't be held down because he does so much good for so many people. Also a long-time serving state rep leading the Manchester delegation, and a person who's got his hands on so many of the critical issues in this city. And right now, there's many great things happening in this city, and it's something I think both Lou and Pat would agree on with us. We're very excited about what's happening in the city, the new connectivity project.
Yes.
All kinds of great things are happening in the city. The development of our, performing arts with now the Rex joining the Palace, and I mean and the building that's happening, all the building that's happening around the city, and many fine things are happening. But it's still one of the things that really attracts people's attention is the plight of the homeless and the fact that they impair people's experience in the city. Now we are in a situation where it's the middle of winter, and it's even though it's pretty mild so far this winter, we're very, very fortunate. Climate change, I think, is having something to do with it, but it's pretty amazing. And right now, as the homeless encampments get addressed here at the courthouse and, along by the old canal remnants up near Amoskeag, and they're offered services. Not that they're not offered services, but the problem is very complex. And today, anybody that drives up Pine Street knows there's a tremendous issue with the encampment right by the family transition facility there on Manchester and Pine. And we had a tragic death there of a homeless person, and another tragic death of another person. Well, almost. I mean, it wasn't a death. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I was thinking about the event of the woman who gave birth to a baby in a tent down, near the Singer Bridge on the Piscataquag River Trail. Right. So these things make us realize that Manchester, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, it's not just Manchester. It's cities, not only in New Hampshire, it's around the country. It's around the country. There's no place no municipality doesn't have to address these issues. Manchester has a particularly acute problem because, like so many of the other municipalities in the state, we do offer services. We have services that I don't think many people appreciate the services we offer. But people that come here looking for help but without being able to be housed, they apparently know that. Well, anyway, that's my introduction, Pat and Lou. And Pat, I want to thank you for joining us and for your many years of service. And I just want to turn it over to you to talk about what's happening with the homeless issue. I know we have a new coordinator. I know that many mayors, including Mayor Craig here, and Mayor Donchis and Nashua, and I think 6 other mayors have called on the state to do more. And so there you go.
Mayor Craig sent out a letter to the governor of DHHS, and asking for help. We're not asking monetarily. We're asking. We need locations. For example, the Terra House is not being used. When you go to Manchester and Pine Street, I was surprised to see a lot more young women that were there. And the arguments that I was hearing while I was there for 45 minutes was about whose girlfriends they are. The men were arguing about whose girlfriend they are. So, that tells me that the women aren't being treated very respectful, and it's got to be awful for them. So the Terrell House, the plan was for the mayor to place the woman in there.
Right.
And I believe that we could easily take 5 or 6 women that would gladly go into a respite facility. However, that facility is owned by the state. So we're not asking the state to take over the problem. We're asking them to be a partner with the city. And unfortunately, the governor didn't see it as that. And
Yeah.
And the building is being heated and maintained by the state without any occupancy. Let me give you the history of that building because
Yes,
I think
please
it's
do.
important. When I was on the executive council, the J. Dudson Dunaway Foundation, that's the guy from Dover who had made all of the money. He gave them the pool and so forth and so on.
yeah,
He had $100,000 that he wanted to give to the state of New Hampshire. Nobody would accept it. Nobody would accept it. So they found me. I went to the governor. I said, we have $100,000 here that a man wants to contribute to help with alcoholism. Finally, we got the money, and the money was used to purchase Terrell House. And in those days, Terrell
Where
House.
is Terrell House?
Terrell House is right by Pappy's Pizza.
yeah.
It's
Lower-
right there.
Yeah.
Right on that
Brook
right,
Street.
Right on Brook Street. So, Kate, do you remember her, Kate, who ran it? Dedicated, and she had a couple of guys working with her. That place was a going machine. AA met downstairs in the basement.
Yep.
They had men living there, and it was a good thing. Now, as always, sometimes these things fall apart, and you don't know why. But my point is that building was a gift to the state to be used to help people. What better use of it than to help provide homes for the homeless? And one of the things that people don't understand is at one time, in the 1970s, we had 2,500 people at New Hampshire Hospital. And we had another almost 1,000 people at the Laconia State School. Think of that.
I remember those days, Lou.
I remember them very well. So you got 3,000 people who are hidden away.
Yeah.
And who are they? The people, mental health problems, other problems, and so forth. So once that population was released, where did that population gravitate to? Many went to Concord, because the services were provided there.
Sure.
And now we're seeing the results of those people coming to Manchester because as time has gone on and we created the mental health districts, services were provided. So where do you go? People go where services are provided. And yet our law clearly states the responsibility for that person lays with the community that they came from. And you have the right to send that person back or to bill that person for the services that are provided. Now, I don't know if anybody is doing that
Right, no.
at this point in time.
We get a couple of invoices from, I know we got one a while ago from Keene.
But that's the law, and we have for years not funded certain aspects of the mental health system, and as a result of that, mental health has become a very serious problem,
Right.
and among youngsters. So we purchased Hampstead Hospital, 110 certification for 110 bodies to be there. Maybe there are 30 there now. Maybe 30, and that was to take care of the waiting list for children at New Hampshire Hospital. Now, the waiting list for adults at New Hampshire Hospital. When I chaired the Finance Committee in the Senate, and with the help of the House, we allocated $5 million to take the rooms that were at New Hampshire Hospital that were provided for children
Yeah.
and to redo those rooms so that we could create 40 more spaces for men and women, and alleviate the wait list. That was not done. That's still being held in abeyance. We put money aside for transitional housing. And what do? We took the Philbrick Center, which had been used
Right.
for another purpose,
Youth, yeah.
and we just paid $2 million to renovate that. So we put another X number of million in it to renovate it so that 16 people could be in transitional housing because we couldn't find any transitional housing. So we're our own worst enemy in many ways.
Right.
We are our own worst enemy. And I'm not saying we don't try. I think the people at HHS work hard, but do what you're supposed to do. Carry things out.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps and there's a lot of overcapacity. We're gonna,
Yes.
What the state's gonna give. We're gonna give you nonprofits in Manchester X amount of dollars for 50 people, when we need X amount of dollars for 100 people. So we're constantly running up against barriers.
Yeah, and I think part of that, Pat, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we never come up with a comprehensive plan.
Right.
We talk. I remember seeing plans come to my office about building this and building that. Where are they? They're in the filing cabinet.
Right.
We did a study in 1973 when I was in the House, a plan to deal with all of these things, to create on state land housing. Where did that go?
I mean, the positive thing today is we don't need no more studies.
Right.
We know exactly what needs to be done. It's being done around the country.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of models to piggyback on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The bottom line is just getting the comprehensive plan and following through with it. I read several times the homeless plan, a 21 state homeless plan, which says that December of 22 there will be no more veterans in the streets. I don't know if that's the case. In 24, we will substantially have reduced the homeless numbers. I don't know what that plan is. We got a year to go, and I
Right.
don't see where that plan is coming from. So again, it's not that those mayors aren't asking the state to take this over for us. Our hands are up. That is not the case at all. Our hands are never up. Mayor Craig's hands is never up. She
Right.
is pushing forward, pushing away all the negative, and what can we do to create the positive?
Sure.
And the bottom line is we need facilities.
Yes.
We need facilities. I mean, can we find a facility? We could probably build one, but there are facilities that are, Terrell House is being heated right now.
With nobody there?
With nobody there.
It's empty.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So what is the issue? We're looking for the state to partner with us.
Yeah.
We don't want you
Yeah.
to take care of it for us. We could take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're asking you for help. What's so bad about that?
We spend billions of dollars every year, to to mothball buildings all over the state.
Right.
To mothball buildings and maintain them all over the state, all state properties. Why aren't some of those being made available?
Right.
I mean, it's a very simple solution.
But isn't there a problem that, whether it's Terrell House or the families in transition housing that they offer, they have certain beds, apparently not enough. But there's a lot of people, most of these places have some rules.
Well,
A lot of these people don't like rules.
Oh, sure.
Like, you got to be in at a certain time. You can't have drugs or alcohol. So it's more than just a lack of space, isn't it?
I'm learning from Alderman George Kelly. There's high barrier and low barrier. High barrier is you got all these rules. So if I'm in the street, I don't want to go there. I can't bring my stuff. I can't shoot up when I want. I can't drink when I want. And then there's low barrier. Bring your stuff. If you're going to sneak your drugs in, you're going to sneak your drugs in. So a lot of these are high barriers. So when you hear of the homeless people saying, I'm all set, I don't want to go there, those are the reasons, because it's a high barrier.
Right.
I've been thinking more of how do we reduce some of those barriers now? People say, you're catering to them. Now, we had a group of businesses come, and they're tired, and I absolutely agree with them, and it is absolutely urgent. They're picking up feces, needles.
Oh, it's awful.
So I suggested to get a bathroom, not a porta potter, but get a trailer that has actually for $110,000. I was pricing them. There's 2 women's bathrooms with 2 showers, 2 men's bathrooms with 2 showers and 2 urinals for $110,000. Hook up the water. It comes with heat. It would have to be somebody would have to be there, because what we've learned in Veterans Park is they shut themselves in the bathroom, and sometimes
Yeah.
they're in there forever and they're
Right.
passed out. So we would need somebody to monitor that. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do, because it's unacceptable for the businesses to be having to do that in their businesses
Sure.
when they come in the morning. That's urgent. I mean, the businesses are being, encroached upon it, and
Sure.
I can't, and some of them been
Can't
there
blame
for
'em, yeah.
years,
Yeah.
years and years and years. Brutus Garage, when he was speaking, I felt bad for the guy. It's a family business. He's afraid to bring his kids to work now. I can't bring my kids to work, I'm afraid, because of what's going to happen out there.
Sure. I think of Nicky Daskell's Blue Line Garage, which is next
Yeah,
door
yeah.
To the New Horizons.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to bring my car there to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can't even drive up that street.
So it's an urgent situation,
Yes.
and I'm taken back that the governor did respond to the letter as he did. It's just unacceptable. We're looking
Yeah.
for the state's partnership. Is that out of the ordinary?
And not looking for money, just looking for
No, not looking for
assistance
money.
with state-owned properties and
we'll
things
put
like
up the
that.
money. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's availability land. I mean, we have the Cashin Center, and now there's some issues that are going to rise from that. First of all, are we going to be able to? You gotta clean up the facility every night that they stay there, because there are bed bugs and what
Yeah,
have
sure.
you. And the elder people, is there an egress by themselves? I don't believe so. They got to go through the main portion of it. Well, the elderly become vulnerable,
Sure.
right? But that's all we have. That's why we're asking the state, can you allow us to use your facility
Right.
during the winter months
Yeah,
for the warming station?
Sure.
And we got to man it full time with fire and police,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and we're willing to do that.
Yeah.
That's
So
part of the deal. That's why.
It's not a sign of putting your hands up in the air at all. It's not a sign of that at all. It's a sign of looking for partners.
Yeah.
And we're looking for the state to be a partner with us.
Yeah. Pat, we have had one, I don't know what the title is, homeless coordinator that
Yep.
worked for the city, and she left rather abruptly after, I don't know, something like
Month and a
a
half.
year.
Month and a half. A year and a half. I'm
Year and a
sorry.
half, year and a half, yeah.
Yep.
And now we have a new person who I hope might be able to join us tonight, but I hope we'll be able to have her soon.
Sure.
What can this person do, and what resources can she bring to bear to help on this problem?
Well, she's got all the educational aspects. She worked in Boston at a homeless center for several years, so she has that experience that she's bringing. So she's in. There's a coordinated group that are meeting constantly on a daily basis, addressing these issues, and she adds a lot to that. So I believe we could ferret out. Somebody has an idea. She has the knowledge to detail that idea out on what's the reality and what's not a reality. So I think just in that, and thank God for Chief Saldenberg and Cashin.
Right.
I mean, this is something that's above and beyond their description,
Right.
of their job description.
It is.
But they're in it and they're working hard.
Yeah.
And the chief brought up a good point with respect to moving people off the sidewalk. It's, as an alderman, I'm saying move them off the sidewalk, right? I mean, we got businesses. I got people that can't walk there. You can't walk the sidewalk. I get that.
Although
Move
theoretically
'em.
it's supposed to be operating so that you can, but that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, but you move them back.
Yeah.
2 hours later, they're right back in the street
Sure,
where they
sure,
were,
yeah,
and they're blocked. So,
Yeah.
so, unless you have 4 or 5 police stationed out there, keeping track of that 24/7,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. So, the chief mentioned that he's not going to move them off the sidewalk because it's their right to be on
Right.
the sidewalk. And like he said, it's not us they're not suing the alderman. They're suing his officers and
Right.
him.
Exactly.
And that doesn't give him a clean slate. So,
Right.
so you're right. Look for an avenue with which he could do something, and he'll do it. Both of those chiefs are above and beyond.
I think
Again,
so, too.
Manchester is
Very
fortunate.
Fortunate
Yeah,
to have both
to
of them.
have
I
both of
absolutely
them.
agree.
That's-
Yeah.
that's right.
We're
Chief
very lucky.
Aldenberg is
I
a
mean, but
very
it's
fine
no
person.
consolation for the businesses that are suffering this
Sure.
Yeah.
every day.
Sure. Well, look
Every
at
day.
look at Los Angeles. The mayor declared a state of emergency because
Right.
of the whole situation.
Right.
A state of emergency in the second largest city in the United States.
And I was there.
Because of
I was
homelessness.
there in
Right, you were
June,
there.
and I just could not believe. We talk about the homeless issue here. Well, in Los Angeles, it's a lot easier to be homeless in Los Angeles than northern New England, including
got like what?
Manchester. And I just could not believe every overpass, every place you went, there were homeless people.
Right.
Everywhere, all over that. Well, I was not everywhere in Los Angeles. I was only there a few days, but I certainly could not have believed the extent of the homeless problem there. And I don't think people understand that. They think that because Manchester is not only the largest city in New Hampshire, but the largest city in northern New England, and because this problem tends to be so visible,
Right.
Yes.
they don't understand that this is not just a Manchester problem, it is a national problem, and every community is dealing with this issue, some of them involving vastly greater numbers than we're dealing with here, even for cities of our same population.
Right. But that's no consolation. I mean, the bottom
Right.
line is my concern is Manchester, and
Right.
we're at the level where we can control some of this. We don't have the thousand people living in Manchester
Yeah.
on the streets.
Yeah.
We got the 150s, 200s. I hear how this is a liberal thing, right? The liberals are creating this. Well, I went to Tampa, and I was blown away by. I've been to L.A. and I seen that Tampa was just as bad,
Really?
just as bad.
Yeah,
I went to
I can believe it.
NCSL event
Yeah.
in Tampa, and it was just as bad. So
Are we in touch with other communities that are dealing with this problem that are somewhat similar to us? Is there any community that's got a program that seems to be more successful that we could look to have a
yeah, they have several.
model?
There's several communities that are setting up these pods, villages, tiny homes, villages.
Right, tiny homes,
And they're finding that their expectations are greater than they expected. They're saying when you give somebody, they don't recommend a 50 or 60 pod or tiny home village type of thing. Keep it 15, 20, 30 at the most.
And when you talk about a pod, what is actually a
It's
pod?
there's a company in Washington State it's a contractor who hires prisoners and he trains them in construction. The prisoners came up with these homeless pods that they would like instead of being in a tent.
Right.
They're 100 square feet. It's got a bed. It's got a desk. You can heat them. They lock when you leave.
Have they got power?
They have power. Yep.
Really?
Electricity you could hook up to them.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is they never have to worry about where they're going to sleep. They know every day. They know, okay, I know where I'm sleeping tonight. So that's a major burden off their shoulders. And once those are released, I mean, all day I think about where am I going to sleep, where am I going to get my next meal, where am I going to get my next fix. When you get rid of some of those barriers,
Right.
they start thinking more about themselves and saying,
Maybe I can do something different.
I like this freedom of having my own place, even though it's a little 100 square foot place. I like that idea. And they're finding that in other municipalities, they're finding that families are taking them back in because they're being more honest with themselves, and the families are helping them.
Yeah.
And they want to be on their own. I
Sure.
want to get a job. I want to get an apartment. And this, they figured it happened in 6 months to a year. It's happened in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
They're planting flowers outside their pod.
Oh, how nice.
They're hanging art on their door. It's something for them.
Right.
And you hear enough with making it easy for them.
Right.
Oh,
Making it easy for them makes it easy for me.
Sure.
Hey, we have a call.
And for the
we
businesses.
want to welcome our callers.
Right.
Hello, caller. We're so glad you're joining us on the Progress Report. I hope you're ready with a comment or question for either Lou or Pat on this issue we're talking about. Go right ahead.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Bob, and I'm trying to be compassionate, I'm trying to be merciful, and I'm trying to be practical. The businesses around Pine Street where that transition home is, they're going out of business. People are afraid to go out of their homes and come downtown because of this. Myself, I believe that the situation where it is, we should probably think about doing, like having a reservation for these people where they can camp in one area, all of them, and they're only allowed to camp in that area and free up the rest of the city from all of these encampments all over the place. I believe that something has to be done about this because it's going to be a health hazard pretty soon. In the summertime, it's going to be a health hazard because winter you have the cold air. There's not as much germs, stuff like that. But these people here, they need a place to go where they can be together in one area and help the people in this city. The citizens of this city need help.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to the authorities of the city, the mayor's office, and the governor, and everybody else that's involved with this, to put their best foot forward and do something about it.
All right.
So thank you for your call,
Thank you, Bob, for that. That's an excellent call with
Yeah.
with a interesting idea. I'm going to let you go, and we'll let Lou and our guest Pat talk over your idea there.
So
Thank you for calling.
thank you, Bob. So the issue of compassion, I tell you, my compassion now turns to the businesses because that's a thriving Manchester. So
Right.
my compassion is to the businesses. What is it that I could do today to relieve the businesses of the issues they're having? Bathrooms, one. Why go out there every morning picking up feces and spraying off urine? Needles. Let's put some needle. What do they call those hard boxes that you throw your shopping boxes? Maybe they'll use them. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. So let's put some of those out there.
Try it at least.
And try it. As far as an encampment where it's allowed, that's a little dangerous. Look at we were talking earlier outside about the Concord encampment of 100 people where there's a major drug problem and a major prostitution problem.
Right.
So if you were to do that, you need 24/7
Right, you need
surveillance down there.
Right.
It's like a little town of people that are just looking for
Right.
their drugs, looking for whatever
Whatever,
they
right,
think
exactly.
about every week. What we do need is we need to stop taking away some of the people that are living there, 5 or 10 a week, and have them in transitional housing, have them in detoxes, have them in.
Giving them mental health help,
Right.
because
Well-
mental health is a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, and the
real
issue
problem.
is the voluntary, Lou.
Yes.
You can't force
Right.
anybody to do something.
Right.
However, you can involuntary commit somebody if they're of harm to themselves or others.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm getting Narcan every day because I'm shooting up and almost dying, am I harming myself?
Sure.
Did that woman who gave birth,
You're right.
was she harming herself and the baby?
Sure.
Why wasn't she involuntary committed? Why wasn't anybody who gets Narcan involuntary committed?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of the belief, which may be extreme, is that if you're living outside on the sidewalk, you're harming yourself.
Yeah, I would think so.
But I mean, I had a bill in
I think you got a
addressing,
good point there, Pat.
Yeah.
I had a bill in addressing that, and didn't go anywhere because it's the judges make that determination.
Live
of-
free or
of
die, which
who's-
Which
exactly.
Which
So
could be a killer.
can be a
so
killer.
so it's
The
so
alternative
it's
is dying.
it's
Well, I think involuntary admission, that's always been a concern, because if you're 18 or younger, right? Isn't it 18, Bob?
I think so.
So if you're younger, involuntary admission, you can get that done.
Correct.
We've had that situation with people going to the state hospital. That's
And
always been a place.
Is that through who,
I
though?
used to do those
They
IEA.
gotta
Is that
go
through
the
court?
Yes.
Yeah.
gotta go
or
through
or
the
does the
court.
parent have to the
Got
guardian?
to go through the court.
All right, so it's court only.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I used to do those IEA hearings up at the New Hampshire State Hospital sometimes a few years ago, and there are people.
IA?
Most of the people, IEA. And
Yeah, I don't think the listeners are.
sorry?
Involuntary admission.
Okay.
Involuntary admission, involuntary emergency admission, I think.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. And, most of the people that were in needed to be in the care and custody of the state hospital.
Sure.
But there were a few that did not. There were a few that somebody just got fed up with them and said, I'm going to get this person out of my hair, but I'm going to, commit them to there were a few. So there's always that. And, every one of them was entitled to a hearing. You have to have a hearing within 3 days and determine that there's, as you said, Pat, the test is danger to themselves or others, or they're ordered released. So you've got that whole process.
We have a model that happened at Victory Park this past summer or a little bit before. It was a 4 or 5 months. This woman, Amanda Robideau, from Gatehouse in Nashua, went to Victory Park every day for 4 or 5 months, ended up, after the 5 months, having 74 people finally say, I've had enough, I'm getting in your van, I want the services. So that was 74 people that were in the streets at Victory Park that are now in Nashua in respite services or transitional housing.
Right.
But the issue with transitional housing is you need detox first, and there aren't any detoxes. I mean, she's gone to Doorway with some potential people that are ready to go, and they're denied because there's no more detoxes. So anytime somebody in the street says, I'm ready, you better be ready, because
Right.
the next day
They may not be ready.
They're not
Right,
ready
right,
anymore.
right.
I
Sure.
mean, I've spoken with the homeless who say yes, and when I put their feet to the fire, okay, I got somebody that's going to be coming to get you at 1 o'clock. Geez, I got a couple of things I need to do. Can you come back?
Yeah.
Can you make it Friday?
No.
That person's lost on Friday.
Right.
So those are opportunities that we miss. I'm a firm believer that we can address this issue.
Yes.
And work towards the light at the end of the tunnel.
Every one of these people came from someplace.
Right.
They came from someplace. They were taken care of at one time in their lives. They gravitated here for a reason. It's our job to address why and to come up with a solution to that problem. I mean, that's why we're in this business.
And that certainly makes me think of the tragic circumstances of this woman named Eckersley.
Yes.
A name all of us that care about sports and baseball
Sure.
know very, very well.
Yeah, Hall of Fame
I mean,
pitcher.
her adopted, I guess she
Right,
was, but
yes.
that doesn't matter. You're a child, whether you're adopted or you're not
Right.
adopted, you're still a child of your parents.
Well,
And that she ended up with this situation.
or the woman that died.
And the woman that died, right there in
34-year-old,
Pine Street.
36-year-old.
Yeah.
From Carroll County, graduated with high honors.
Yes.
In
Really?
a special program. A very bright woman was let go. She
Right.
congratulations.
Released, right.
Everybody took a nice photo op. Good job.
Yeah.
She leaves. She comes to Manchester homeless.
Yeah.
Because
dies,
we're not
and ends up
because we're
dying.
not and dies.
Yeah.
We're not following up.
Yeah.
Well, it should be a cautionary
tale.
tale for all of us. We all
Oh.
think, that that's them and we're us, and there's no connection, but it could be us anytime,
So again, asking the state to
or our families.
asking the state to help us. I mean, the people I talk to, I have a conversation with them, and I ask them, did you just get thrown out of the house by your parents? A lot of young people out there in their
Right.
early 20s, late 20s. And they say, no, I had an apartment. And then I ask them, do you have a high school graduation, high school diploma? I do or I don't. I says, okay, where'd you go to high school? And that's where I find out where they're really coming from.
Right.
If you went to high school in Keene, you're not from Manchester,
Right.
So why wouldn't we ask the state to help us set up? Why should Manchester and Concord, and my understanding is Rochester is bearing the same burden, and Keene is getting a lot of towns
Yes,
in the areas
yeah.
that are also getting people that aren't from Keene.
Yeah.
Why should these cities, on their own, address this? And again, we're not looking for this pot of money at the end of the rainbow.
Right.
We're looking for help with respect to facilities
Sure.
that could help us get control of this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big ask.
No.
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 And you mentioned you were very disappointed in the response of Governor Sanu to this letter from
Right.
the 8 mayors.
Right.
And tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, did he not understand?
Well, we
what
were incompetent.
Right.
The mayors that signed us are incompetent. We have never given so much to homelessness before in this state's history, and it was a letter that, first of all, wasn't blaming anybody or blasting anybody. It was a letter saying,
We need some help.
yeah, we need some help. So we're going to ask you, right? Should we go to Maine and ask them first? No, let's start with our own state. We're
Right.
going to ask you. Why do you turn it into this?
Yeah.
And why did it take you 3 weeks to come out with a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, it it remains again the unanswered question: why aren't we working together to solve this problem? And it's an example of a number of problems. It's like, why doesn't the state give the $25.9 million each year in revenue sharing? The
Right.
deal that was made
Right.
when the business profits tax replaced the inventory tax. Why doesn't that money come? How do you accrue a surplus and not give this money to the communities? Now, to me, that's structurally an answer, because if it's all about money, that's where the money's going to come from. You should be getting that money because you're entitled to that money.
Right.
And I've heard that year after year after year from Goffstown and from people that I speak with in Manchester. And when I chaired Finance Committee, we gave them $20 million a year. I mean, why, when you look at 10 years, it's $290 million that you didn't get. If you don't get the money, you can't do the job.
Right.
Yeah.
So the mayor can say, we don't need your money, but we need the money that you should have given us. That's our money.
Exactly.
Hey guys, we got another call, I'm delighted to say. Hello, caller. Welcome to the Progress Report. We're delighted to have you with us. Please go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Bob. It's Deborah from Manchester, Ward 9. Calling. Thank you, Pat, for all the work you're doing and for the insight that you're giving to us tonight. And I did have a question about the women's prison in Goffstown.
Yes.
If that can be converted to a drug rehab center for the county.
That's been demolished already, Deb.
It doesn't exist anymore.
That doesn't exist anymore,
the building-
Deb.
Women's prison?
Right.
Okay.
That
Yes.
was torn down.
That thing was a total disgrace, and finally, it was very appropriately entirely eliminated. So it's just.
Oh, can we build a new one then, a rehab center on the property in Goffstown, the Hillsborough County
We can.
complex?
We can. We
Yes.
can. We have in Hillsborough County. We have 3 commissioners. County government works that the commissioners are the program setters. The delegation, which is the state reps in Hillsborough County, there's 123 of them. They appropriate the money. So let's say the commissioners say, okay, we're going to want to build this. It's going to cost us $14 million. They would come to the delegation for the appropriation of the money. But I could put in
Sounds like a lot
14.
of money, but
I could
you
put in-
know, there's money going around. There's grant money here and there, and
Yeah, the money's not the issue,
taxpayers-
Deb. I
Right.
don't believe the money's the issue. You're right. This is the most money
That we've ever
this
had.
year, last year, year before is the most money that the state and municipalities have and counties have ever gotten.
Right.
If you don't get it done now,
It's not.
you're
gonna
never
get
going to
done.
get it done.
Right. I agree.
Right.
with
Well, I'd be hopeful that something could happen on a county level because the cities and towns don't seem to be able to handle it. And maybe if we're all pooling our money somehow or other, but on the county level, I think it's more advantageous that
mean,
way, and people will
I
know
agree.
that there's beds
Right.
there for detox, and that's where you go first. That's the first step, and then you can move on to the other services that are available.
Transitional
and then
housing.
also the nursing home is only half full, half staffed, half full, but there are beds there also and facilities for services.
Yeah. Last I knew, we had 60 beds that they shut down because of the lack of staff.
Yeah.
So there is 60 beds available.
But maybe you can make a different use there, and maybe get different types of staffing, where for a detox center or facility for the other half, that maybe it's easier to staff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm
No,
not
those-
the expert.
well, no,
But
those
anyway,
are-
that's
those
a
are all
question
good
for the
ideas,
new Detox, not detox, the new homeless director, I
Absolutely.
guess. Maybe she can answer questions.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you,
we-
Pat.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
Hey, thanks
care,
for that
bye.
call. That was an excellent call. And she just raises a whole issue which you're well qualified to speak about. We talked about the state's role and the city's role. How about possibly the county's role?
I mean, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see each
Very good
county.
point.
Was it on here that you mentioned or was we were talking prior to? What county was it that?
Stratford County, Judge McLaren.
Stratford County.
Right, and he's doing it.
Rochester, who was it?
Rochester, Dover, and Somersworth.
and Somersworth are paying the
They're
county
paying the county.
to take care of these issues.
Right, to address
And I
these
think that's a
issues.
great idea.
Yeah.
Hillsborough County, let's take care of our Hillsborough County people. Rockingham County, take care of your Rockingham County people.
Right.
Why does Manchester have to take care of Rockingham and Merrimack and
Right.
everybody and everywhere else? Or Rochester and Dover
Yeah.
going to take care of their surrounding towns? The county idea is a great idea,
Well,
and it's very doable.
Yeah.
Very
It's
doable.
very doable.
I remember once, Pat, you were looking at the idea of using some of that county property in Hillsborough County out in Goffstown. They got many, many acres of very nice property right along the Piscataquag River there. And the problem is that's a long way from the services that these people need.
but we have
there's no question the space was there to do something.
Yeah, Mike Witten, the director of the MTA, is very amenable to what do you need?
Yeah.
Do you need us to bus people to Manchester to go to work or to go to their services? Let me know. If you got 8 or 10 people that need to take that bus from there, we'll arrange something. So the possibility is there. The details have been worked out. It's just, again, it's commissioners that need to take that initiative and say, yes, we're going to do this. I know Mayor Craig went to them on pretrial transitional housing. Instead of releasing them from the jail, they would go into there would be a pretrial program, so they're not just released to Manchester.
Right.
And the commissioners didn't want to hear it. I think that's a great idea. It'll help stem back
Well,
the tide
the
from
commissioners
Manchester.
have to listen to what the delegation tells them, and you're
Yeah,
the chairman of the delegation, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I was. I did my 2 years.
You're not doing that
I did
anymore.
my 2
Okay,
years.
well,
Well, I'm on the executive committee.
you're on the executive committee.
But it's at the county level, there's a big potential.
Yes.
Other counties are doing it, and they're doing it successfully.
Yeah.
So again, we don't have to study nothing. There's a model we could take and do that model
That's a
that's
really
been
interesting
successful.
insight. Yeah.
And McLaren has proven it works. He's proven it works.
Right.
It works in his county.
Yeah.
I think he's willing to. I'm going to meet with George. Maybe we can meet with him, Pat. He's going on vacation on the 16th, but I called him last night and I said, Judge, I want to meet with you and get your ideas. And I believe he's already spoken to Joyce, the mayor of Manchester, Joyce Craig. But he's got a good idea.
Right.
He's got a good idea. And the counties were blessed with an enormous amount of money, our money. I mean, Hillsborough got $88 million.
81 mil, yeah.
Or 81 million.
$81 million.
So, and what do you do with it?
Wow.
There's got to be a plan, and you got to follow that plan.
And there are several plans out there that we don't have to make one.
Well,
We
don't
can
have to
just
create
grab
anything,
one.
right?
You know, which
Right.
one do we like the best?
Right.
Let's
get
do
an
it.
get an existing
Wow.
success
Right.
and take
Right.
advantage of it.
Right.
Think of all the people that do that.
Well, again, that was
really.
a terrific call from that lady, and boy, it certainly opened up some possibilities that I hadn't thought about myself. But it sounds like they're out there.
Yeah, and that's what I encourage. I mean, there was no idea that's not a bright idea. They're all good ideas. You know, I since I put that out at one of the meetings, you know, I'll work with anybody who has an idea. I've been getting plenty of emails and calls, and they're good ideas.
Yeah.
You know, they're ideas that I'm attempting to do now. So, you know, please, you don't bore me. Just email me, call me, give me your idea. I can't certainly
an
can't
idea
think of
forward,
everything,
sure.
man.
Right.
But I'll work with you on it.
So does the city actually, or I guess we should say not just the city, the state, the county, thanks to that call, I'm thinking about the county, is there actual goals that we're trying to meet? Do we have a plan that sets goals that we are trying to meet? Is there a certain time period in which we're supposed to get the homeless population down to a certain level, or,
Yeah, the emergency operating group, my understanding from yesterday's meeting, are working on. I mean, I brought up some stuff that they're already working on. It was a breath of fresh air. I was like, thank you. So there is a group that is working on resolution for this. I mean, unfortunately, it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
And in the meantime, tomorrow morning, the business is going to go there, clean up the poop, pick up the needles. Don't bring my kids. Can't get cars in here because their tents are up. You know, and that to me is the urgency. That is, we have got this. Well, I brought up there were 25 to 30 tents 2 weeks ago, yesterday.
Right.
There are, I think he said 42 or 46 now. Well, that's almost doubled. That's
Right.
got to stop today.
Right.
Today, no more tents.
Right.
I don't know what you got to do. I'm not the solicitor, but to the solicitor, what do we do? No more tents being set up there.
Yeah, but
And-
how can you not have those tents set up? I mean,
Yeah, I'm not the attorney.
These are public ways,
Well, I'm sure I could come up with something.
I'm sure you could.
I mean, it's an urgent matter right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's becoming 2 people died. There was a knifing there.
Yes.
What do we need to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the
dangerous
state of
situation,
emergency.
right.
So yeah, no,
Well, I
the
think
tents are
that's
all
it.
done. And
Right.
can we move 5 to 10 people out of there every week? Move 5 to 10 people. Whatever we have to do.
Right.
You know.
Well, have you got a
whatever-
place to move these 5 to 10 people
Yeah,
a week?
well, we do.
And maybe Terrell
We
House,
do.
maybe
They-
the pod program. And these are
Well,
Well,
there'd be a number of
exactly. So
places.
there are places where we could move them to. So, after a month, you got those 40 people out of there.
Right.
It's unfortunate it can't be done in a week. Maybe it can be. I'm hopeful.
Right.
But if not, at minimum, at least a month, it'll be cleared.
Right.
You know.
So right now we've got this tent encampment on Pine Street that everybody that drives around the city is probably going to see, or most of them.
Yes.
Are there still other encampments that are are there satellite
There
things
are.
still out
Yeah,
there?
there are. There
so
are
what is the
other-
total population? Do
There
you
are
think of
other
the unhoused
encampments.
right now?
I
in
mean,
the
the
city?
last PIT, they call it a pit count. It's a point in time count. Was 116. So there's probably, in my mind, I would say 200
Yeah.
or more. I don't know.
Well.
I mean, well, for example, the woman that gave birth,
Right.
they didn't realize it was only her and this guy
Right.
that was out there by themselves. So nobody knew they were there.
Yeah.
And
That's
personally, I
shocking.
would hope that any woman that's pregnant in the streets right now, we're looking to get them help. You know, for the baby's sake.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman admitted to doing cocaine.
Yeah.
You know, if that's all she did.
So maybe the
You know?
baby's already got an addiction
Well,
problem starting
yeah,
at the starting line.
that's what I'm thinking of.
That's
Yeah.
what you worry about. Yeah, definitely. My goodness.
Well, this child, at this moment in time, it's predicted this child will survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a miracle in and of itself.
Miracle.
Yeah, was it? I heard it was 3 months.
3 months
premature.
3 months premature.
Yeah, imagine surviving in that
It's
cold
surviving.
as a
Surviving.
brand new,
Yeah.
just born
Right.
infant. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just absolutely.
You know, and
so-
again,
so tragic.
you know, everybody judges the woman. I don't know what her situation was.
Right.
Obviously, it wasn't the best.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, this, you know, what is it that we could do? I mean, that's when you talk about compassion. You know, you're not,
Right.
you know, it's not bending over backwards to make them comfortable.
Yeah,
It's to help another human being out.
Right.
yeah.
You know, that's what it is. It's not giving them, you know, making it comfortable for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
giving them a hand to get
Right,
out of where
right,
they are. You
Maybe
know?
I'm just being a little Pollyannish, but I think there's been some lessening of the condemnation of these people on the part of much of the public. And I understand your concern about the businesses that are impacted. Absolutely legitimate. They've got to have their compassion too. But it seems to me like maybe there's beginning to be a little bit more willingness to accept that this is a problem involving fellow human beings. I don't know. Do you think so?
Well. The best thing about last night's business 3 minutes public participation, they had consideration for the homeless. I was blown away. It wasn't just about me.
Right.
Really?
They did have consideration for them.
My goodness.
There was a few of them. Nori from North End Properties got it clearly. I'm not looking to kick these people out in the woods somewheres and bury them. I understand we need to help them. I have that.
Thing to hear.
She sent out emails to other landlords and raised $44,000 towards this initiative, so that she could say, "Hey, we want to be a partner. We don't want to be against you. This is going to take a community to get this better. It's going to take public and private joint efforts to get this together."
Yeah.
Right.
In 2 weeks' time, I got $44,000 from the private entities.
Yeah.
You know, how does the Board of Mayor
I was very
Alderman say,
impressed. I
"No,
read
thank
in the
you"?
paper today, I think Peter Ramsey, who runs the Palace Theater, says he wants to help reach
Right.
out to
Yeah.
people. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
pretty wonderful and remarkable because
Yeah.
he's got a tough job running the Palace and the Rex and,
Yeah.
you know, our,
I mean, these are all
live entertainment.
Yeah, well, these are all people that are visiting the city.
Right.
You know, I mean, I go to the DoubleTree Hilton if I'm free on a Friday night or Saturday morning. People are leaving the city, and I'll ask them, "Hey, how long have you
was
been
your
here?
day?" Yeah.
Where are you coming from?" "I'm coming from Maryland. I've been here for a week. I had a conference." "Well, what do you think of Manchester?" And you know, they'll pretty much tell you, you got a great downtown. You do have some homeless people that are a lot that
Right.
uncomfortable. You know, just to get their
Right, to get a feel.
feedback
Yeah.
of the city of Manchester. I mean, this is
What an interesting project
This
you got
is-
going there. I
this
didn't know
is-
about that. That's really a great
well,
idea.
it
Find
gives
out
you
what
a-
people think that are just
you
been
know,
here.
somebody from Maryland
Yeah.
could care less what
Sure.
they're gonna tell me. They're gonna tell me what they see.
Sure.
Right.
They're not gonna
Right.
hesitate. And that's
Right.
that's who I want to listen to.
Right. It won't be
Wow.
colored.
Wow.
Yeah. True.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's you know, on one hand we're booming businessly, economically,
Yes.
we're booming, and what can hold us back and what is holding us back is our homelessness
Sure.
situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to a gentleman who also spoke there. I'm on the Manchester Development Corporation. He came before us. He's investing in Manchester Street. He wants to turn it into like Hanover, from Elm to Chestnut, just a artsy
Right.
artsy place.
Be wonderful.
And he said him and his partners had to seriously sit and say, do we want to invest in the city of Manchester?
Yeah.
I don't like hearing that
No.
a business had to
To think about
meet
it.
and
Right.
think about that.
Right.
You know, that is not good. That is not going to keep us moving
Right.
forward with our economic development.
Right.
You know, so whatever I need to do to help this business be successful in doing that,
Sure.
Manchester Street
Right.
area, that's what I'll. You know, that's what needs to be done. I mean, because we got the old police station that's going to be apartment buildings.
Right.
Is that done? Has that been conveyed to a developer yet?
It has. I believe, I'm not sure if the sale's been through yet. I believe it has.
Yeah.
And they also bought the law firm across the street.
The old Dixon law firm.
Nixon
yeah.
Law Firm, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be 55 affordable housing.
Is it really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that area, I remember at one time when Citizens Bank owned the building, Greg Barrett from the Casbah Realty
Yeah, Casbah.
cut a deal with Citizens Bank that if you could get those buildings on two buildings on Manchester sold, which this guy bought, Citizens Bank don't own the property anymore. We'll give you the drive-through that you could, and we'll help you finance a half shell. Put up a half shell and have orchestras play there. Or, you know, that would be awesome.
That'd be fun. Wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
that
It'd
would
really
be
good,
awesome.
Good thing to have. Yeah.
So this is the vision that these developers have from Rochester on Manchester Street.
yeah.
So I mean, you know, there is a positive part.
Sure.
You don't often hear that. The homeless, I agree 100%, is a holdback, and that urgently needs attention, and it needs attention today, and it needs to be fixed today and tomorrow and the following day. And Mayor Craig asked, or these 8 mayors actually,
Yeah.
asked the governor if, hey, can you help us?
He just took it as a
Yeah, you guys
chance
can't.
to complain about the complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
too
So-
bad. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what that was all about.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
Pat, you've given us a tremendous amount of information. We are so fortunate to have a public servant like you with all you do. And I know that the homelessness is not your only agenda. You have other things
No,
too.
it's-
But
yeah.
you do so much, and I just so grateful, and you have so many great insights. And I think we had 2 terrific calls today to advance this discussion. I'm really grateful for them. Lou, we just got a little bit of time left. You want to say anything about the launch of the new legislature today?
Well, I think you were there today, Pat, weren't you? Sure, sorry, didn't I?
Yeah, I would say rules.
It
Yeah.
was really a nothing day. We got together. The Secretary of State comes in and reads the election results.
So we had to go through that.
He had to
Again.
go through that.
How many votes the governor got? How many votes
The executive
uh,
council is each
executive
one of
council's
them.
got?
why do
I'm
we
like,
have to do
why do I
that?
gotta? I already know these numbers.
Meanwhile, I have to keep laughing and looking, watching and listening to the meltdown in Washington. I just can't
Oh.
That's
believe
right, huh?
that. My gosh, as a political junkie, which
What was
I
it,
guess
6
I'd have
now?
to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
6,
think it's up to 6.
It was 6 today before, and they recessed until 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can go home and watch some more of that.
Talk about
Number 7.
about government in inaction.
Yeah.
I mean, we have.
I mean, they take over the house and they immediately melt down and can't even get the house organized.
the fate.
I don't know what's going to happen, but
Oh
you
my
know,
God! The fate of the nation
yeah.
is in their hands.
Yeah,
You
the
can't
Speaker of
do
the House
anything
is second in
until-
line for the presidency. For God's
Right.
sakes,
If you
can't
don't
we
figure
had
out-
one,
we can't
if we
figure
had
out
one.
Right, if you don't have the speaker,
I
you
just think
can't-
it's
you can't have government.
absolutely stunning. I can't imagine this happening, and it has.
Oh,
I
it's
would've-
crazy.
I would have figured he would have pulled some more deals. But you know, what? I don't think Kevin McCarthy's got a.
He hasn't got a prayer.
There's no there. He doesn't have any principles except his own aggrandizement of his own power. That's his only principle. Nothing more than that.
It's a travesty.
It's a travesty, and my gosh, it was
Awful.
fun watching the Democrats when the camera would swing around to them, and they were trying so hard to suppress their glee.
Well,
but it was really not well suppressed. They were just thrilled.
212 votes every time for the
Yeah,
Democrat.
right.
212.
Yeah.
That's solidarity.
I mean, it's just astonishing.
The worst part of this is the country's at stake. The
Yes,
fis-
you
the
know, we're
fiscal,
all enjoying
uh,
this, but it really is a sad commentary in the state of our governance
They don't do
in
the
this
debt
great
ceiling.
United States
the
of America right now.
The full faith and credit of the country can fall apart if you don't raise the debt ceiling.
Yeah, and they might not do it. You
They
know,
might
I
not-
mean, they're
you
so
can't-
crazy.
You can't swear anybody in without
Yeah.
a speaker. So you
Yeah.
have-
Well, I did
don't
my
have a
part
conference.
federally.
You did?
Yeah, Biden's not taking my calls now. President Biden's not taking my calls, but I did my part. I voted.
Right. I voted.
That's all.
Right.
Well, I
did it.
gotta say, Lou, your guy Biden, you supported him from the very beginning. He's doing an outstanding job, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
Yeah,
I
well,
agree.
he's delivered.
What he's got accomplished, I don't think anybody. But anyway, I'm over
Nobody
time,
expected
folks.
it.
Pat, thank you.
Thank you
for
for
what
having
you
me.
do. Thank
Great
you for being
Seeing
on
both
with
of
us.
you again.
Yeah,
Lou,
thank you,
always a
Pat.
pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week with Mike Fowler. I'm hoping we're going to do a debate on the legalization of marijuana. I've got the good speaker on the con side. I'm going to try and get a good speaker on the pro side, and I think it'll be very interesting to come up before the legislature this year. Take care, folks. Tune in
coming.
next week.
It's coming.
Thanks to our